I'm Matt Haggard here with my youth pastor, Tucker Hall. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, I'm good, thank you. So after high school, what degree did you pursue?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I didn't really know where I wanted to go. I went to IUPUI and just trying to figure out where I wanted to be, and spent a year there in trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden, I go in to meet with an advisor, and they're like, "Well, your major is sports management." I'm like, "Well, I really didn't know that, so that's news to me." So it was really interesting to do that and to find out that it was that way, and I was able to kind of figure out what went into sports management too there before I went in a different direction.
So what made you change your major?
Yeah, it just didn't feel right, I guess, right off the bat. When you go into the sports management classes, they oftentimes were just like, why would you want to do this? And, it's long hours. You don't get to spend much time with family. It's just a drainage, and it really just didn't feel right at the start. And looking back on it, I know that they were trying to thin out the freshmen that all just wanted to be sports management people and wanted to go watch basketball games or football games, whatever. But it still just kind of turned me off from there, and I just knew that my direction needed to go somewhere else.
So did changing your major present any challenges?
Yeah. Especially with transferring schools. I started out at IUPUI and then heading over to Indiana Wesleyan. It's a lot of paperwork, a lot of getting things right to transfer to a different school. Most people, whenever you change your major, you just go into the registrar's office and you fill out some paperwork and it's done. So for me, it was quite a bit different to do different things and try to get everything set up. And with my grades not necessarily being the best that where they should be, they just kind of told me just to settle in, and I didn't really have a shot at it, and just keep doing what I've been doing and try to pursue a degree at IUPUI. So yeah.
So what was it like for you to decide to change your major?
It was hard. Yeah, I mean, like I said, whenever they're telling you can't do it, and you look at it and you just keep saying to yourself, I can. And the more they keep telling you can't, the more you kind of start thinking about it, that you can't actually do it. And so really thinking about those things and them telling me that, it was really hard to do, to do it. And then when you start talking to Indiana Wesleyan, they're saying, yeah, you can do this. You could do this for sure. That kind of made it more realistic in seeing that it could be happening.
Yeah. So how did you tell your parents, and how did they react?
Yeah. Well, I kind of left it on the down low for a while. Excuse me. I began talking with Indiana Wesleyan and didn't really tell my parents a whole lot. I don't know why. My parents are very supportive, and they love me to death, and they're always up for everything that I do. So I kept it on the down low, but a lot of things had happened before I had told them, and they were great. They really were. They were all in, and they just told me that whatever they can do to help me, they'd love to do it, and it really helped out a lot.
So you may have answered this, but was it a difficult decision to change your major?
It really wasn't. When I made the decision to change my major overall, looking at it and just really realizing that that's not where I needed to be in life. Being at IUPUI just wasn't for me, and I knew that. And so for me, I made the decision pretty early and didn't act on it as early as what I should have. And that's a big difference in that. And so for me to make the decision was easy, that I needed to go in a different direction and possibly into youth ministry. That was the easy part. Acting on it and then fulfilling that was the difficult part.
So once you made the decision to change, how would you say that you've changed?
Yeah, I've definitely become a lot more trusting in God and what His plan is for me, and being so open to what God has in store for me. I feel like, when I first started making this decision to go to IUPUI or to Indiana Wesleyan, it was really difficult for me to kind of look at things and just be like, well, where does this fit into my plan? And while I was at Indiana Wesleyan, it was just like, well, I could have been graduated by now. You know, you spent 2 years at IUPUI and now you're 2 years here and no end in sight. It's just kind of like, you know, I could be done by now. And it gets frustrating. But now looking back on all the things, you kind of see the whole plan of what God had and really seeing how his plan worked into your own life. And it's really allowed me to trust God even more now, seeing the whole scope of things and how everything worked out.
So why did you choose youth ministry?
Yeah, well, I was working in daycare actually while I was at IUPUI, and I hung out with the youth ministry program. I never left. I had some really great friends that I loved to hang out with, and the youth pastor at the time, he's just like, hey, would you like to lead us in a devotional one night? And I wanted to say no, but honestly, I just out of nowhere said yes. And I feel like that's God just, you know, really speaking through me. And it was a great opportunity. And the more I kept doing things within the youth ministry, my role just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And that's really when I saw that this is where I needed to be, and this is what God was calling me to do in life. It was to be a youth minister and minister to those who are going through arguably the toughest time of their life in the teenage years. And that was really, it's scary to think about that, and that you're leading a group that is going through probably the toughest part of their lives. But it was something that I knew that God was going to show me towards.
So when you're considering youth ministry, did you ever consider just being a pastor?
Yeah, no. No, I really didn't. Speaking in front of like big groups of people, especially ones that are older than you and wiser than you, that you feel like, that's never really something that I really believed. It just really scared me. And our previous pastor, I had a couple of them, opportunities to actually preach and do things with the group as a whole, the big church, but it just really scared me more than anything. And I'm more realistic and more looking towards it now than what I was in the past.
So since becoming a youth pastor, how has it changed, if at all, your view on people?
I am really honestly excited about what our youth has in store. I hear so many people just dog the youth of our generation and just say, you know, we're just in trouble because our young people are just not who we need to be. And I disagree with that completely. I've been able to see so many great young people all across the county and outside of Hancock County, and just seeing them and seeing what they can do, and I'm really excited about what the future holds for our country and our nation, because I see so many great people, young people in our life.
Mm-hmm. So you're currently leading the youth group that you once attended. Was it a difficult decision to transition from being in the youth to a pastor now?
Yeah, that's actually the number one question that youth pastors ask me. I mean, because most youth pastors aren't at their home church. For me, it's not that difficult. I have a lot of youth pastors tell me, well, don't the congregation, the people in the church, don't they look down on you and still look at you like you're that 10-year-old kid that you were when you first started coming? And I'm like, no, they really don't. They've been so accepting. It's family. It's family at Browns Chapel, and I love that part of it. And I really honestly would miss it if God sent me somewhere else in a different direction. But it's family, and with family, a part of family is growth. And they've seen me grow, and they're just supporting nonstop. And it's really encouraging being at my home church and being able to do what I do there at Browns Chapel.
So while you're in college, you transitioned from a volunteer youth leader to a part-time and now a full-time while you finished up your degree. Was it difficult to lead the youth group and go to school at the same time?
Yeah, it was. I'm a very relational person. I would say my weakest part of being a youth director is the devotional time and standing up in front of people and giving a devotional. For me, the strong point was definitely getting to know the students and talking with the students and just helping them live their life. And for me to be up in Marion, Indiana, while you guys are down here during the week in Hancock County, that was very difficult for me personally. And I always wanted to just come home and be with you guys and see what you guys do. And in last semester while finishing up college, for me to be able to commute back and forth to Indiana Wesleyan, it was a great opportunity for me to see what goes on here in Hancock County again. Because, for 4 years, I didn't know what was happening in Hancock County Monday through Friday. And so to be able to experience that and to be with the students and get to do things throughout the week is really, really cool. And preparing for what is to come on Sunday, because Sunday is not just Sunday. Sunday happens Monday through Friday, and getting prepared and ready for what's going to happen.
Right. Well, we do enjoy having you here all the time now. But what qualities do you believe that you have that makes you such an effective youth leader?
Yeah, you definitely, the big thing for me is you always have to be listening. When you look at the Bible, there's so many different ways that you can actually read it. And there's some days where I look at it and I have written down notes in my Bible and I look back on it, I'm like, wow, what in the world was I thinking? That just totally looks different to me now. So you just always having an open mind, and not only for yourself, but from others as well. And listening to your pastors, listening to people who are in your congregation. We had a man who was on our church. He was the first person I always saw after my family whenever I would preach, because he gave it to me straight. He gave it to me honest. And if he thought something was not theologically correct, he would call me out on it. And I really appreciated that. And I felt like that was the way that I could grow more. And just having that not taking things as they sound, and just really trying to grow from what people are trying to tell you. And a lot of people, a lot of times, just tend to look at things and just they're just like, well, that's not how I'm supposed to do it, and they just do what they feel is right. So, and I'm really excited about. I really am enjoying what that part of it is, just learning from other people.
So, real quick, what's the biggest challenge that young people face today?
Yeah, life. It's really hard. There's so many hard decisions, and the more decisions that I keep making in life, I keep thinking, oh, this is the hardest decision I'll ever make. So definitely preparing yourself for college and preparing yourself for life. It's definitely a difficult, and it's just knowing that you have people around you and seeking out those people that are going to be supportive of you, and just be there for you, and just praying for you, comforting you, and showing you the way that to help you through life.
All right. Well, Tucker Hall, thank you very much.
Thank you.